Hi, I'm Sue Stockdale, your host of Access to Inspiration, the podcast with a social mission to help you be inspired by people who may be unlike you. We hope their experiences and insights cause you to reflect on your own perspectives about the world and make you think. Well, starting a new year is always a good time to step into the unknown and try out new things. And you may recall that last year, we published our first impact report, which was leading in the podcast industry. Well, for this year, we've decided to ask some of our podcast guests to tell us who inspires them. And then we offer them a platform to co-host an episode to chat to that person. It's been an interesting experience, in that we didn't know who they would pick or what the subject would be. But I think a theme has emerged from the 4 episodes recorded. But I want to know what you think. As you listen over the next few weeks, what underlying message do you think that the guests express in their conversations? At the end of the month, my co-founder, Clive Steeper, and I will record a short episode to share our thoughts. But we'd love to hear from you too. So you can drop us a message or a voice recording by hopping on over to our contacts page at the accesstoinspiration.org website. Well, here's a taste of what's to come. Firstly, our guest from episode 12, Rachel Wanjiku Kagami, talks to her mentor, Dr. James Kisia, who explains what he saw in Rachel that encouraged him to mentor her.
Kenya had post-election violence in 2007, 2008, and Rachel was hired straight from college to be one of the people working in a camp in Nakuru. And when I met Rachel, she was very articulate about what they were doing, and she was clear about what her role was. So for me, the one thing that is a major predictor of success for young people is curiosity and passion. These are very important things. And I think I should add also creativity. What I saw with Rachel is that she was able to solve problems. And within a short time, I encouraged the manager then to transfer her to a bigger camp where she would be even more challenged, because when people are not challenged, they usually will find challenge elsewhere. They move on to other organizations. But I saw someone who was passionate about what she was doing. I saw someone who had a curiosity quotient that was a bit higher than most staff that we had at that time. And I think from my experience, I think this person can go far, and they need the exposure.
Then, in the second of our guest-hosted episodes, film and TV writer, producer and director Brendan Davis, from episode 58, talks to Pierre Hastine about the documentary film Pierre made telling the story of the Atuel River in the Mendoza region in Argentina, and the resulting documentary that then received an overwhelmingly positive response from the local community.
Imagine something, a place, a setting, a entity, whether natural or not. I mean, it could be your shopping mall, it doesn't matter, but something that really defined the culture of where they live. Something that the whole place comes together around and defines the identity of who you are and as a person and as a culture. Essentially, what we filmed by filming the river was that this river is everything to where we live. People have very different entry points to it. It could be they love going fishing on the lake, or they love kayaking down the rapids, or they own a tourism company, or they're a farmer and the river gets split off and irrigated onto their farm. I mean, there are many, many different entry points to what your relationship with the river is. But essentially, we are a man-made oasis in the middle of the desert. It is impossible to live here without having a deep, deep connection to the river, whether you love it or not, whether you're an environmentalist or not. It doesn't matter. And so locally, what we did is we told the story about the thing that links everyone here together.
Then, for our third episode, we will remain with the water theme, and podcaster Rob Lawrence will speak to Corey Micah, co-founder of the Orca Swim School, and he will discover how she helps adults overcome their fear of going into deep water. and for some, it's even been life-changing.
We take students to Hawaii. And I mean, the biggest hug I have ever had was my student Rhonda, who, after we went snorkeling from a boat, so in deep water in Hawaii, we're snorkeling. I mean, that woman hugged me with every muscle in her body. She was so completely thrilled with herself that she did this thing that was, as you said, completely unimaginable to her. So there's those kinds of transformation. But then there's also the transformation where people will tell us afterwards, you know what? I decided it was okay for me to quit that job or to change that relationship. Or they bring it to this other place like, oh, I didn't notice what all was going on for me in my body in some of these other areas of my life. I decided to try this other new thing. One of my students, she's told me about going on and she's like, yeah, I'm learning how to do breakdancing now. I'm 40 something years old. I always wanted to do it. She's like, I'm doing it.
Finally, Josh Wasserman from episode 44 talks to Andrew Freer, Director of Rural Studio, about the unique program that they run for students in Alabama.
It's a program of Auburn University, and it's part of the School of Architecture. And it was established 30 years ago next year by a couple of professors, Samuel Mockbee and D.K. Ruth. And fundamentally, it tries to get students out of the kind of academic ivory tower and get them to engage with real people. We're here to educate architecture students and help them get a good design education. And the things that we've managed to do in Hale County are kind of, I hope, quite lovely byproducts of that work. So unlike a normal architectural education here, basically 30 years ago, these two professors decided that they'd take a group of students to a kind of underserviced part of West Alabama and see if it could help with quote unquote real projects. And it started out very much under the kind of welfare radar, helping folks who weren't being helped by the social services and providing housing. And there's a number of design build programs around the world, but in this case, architecture students get to not only design their projects, but they get to build their projects. And so you essentially were using the students' designs and their energy to support this local community.
I hope you will be excited to listen to these upcoming episodes over the next few weeks. Remember, you can read the transcriptions for each one on our website at accesstoinspiration.org. I look forward to connecting with you again soon.